Thank you for joining us today. I can only imagine 11 miles off the coast of Ocean City, the winds are really blowing today. And hopefully in a couple of years they're going to be blowing with wind turbines, big ones.
Yes.
We're here today to talk about the offshore wind bill. As you know, you didn't get lost coming down here looking for ice cream, I'm sure. The bill is in play. We're going to work it through. There's some amendments. We're very optimistic. We're excited. You know, last year I introduced this bill in front of the Finance Committee. It may have been the inaugural opportunity. I'm not sure. There was some discussion. People were starting to get to understand the bill. This was last session, February or March. And then I was invited to a conference in November, October, an offshore wind conference. I walked into a room with over 300 people. Not only environmentalists who've been active and advocates down here, business people, policy people. The room was packed. And I was invited to speak that afternoon. And I talked about changing the paradigm in this state and this country, of shifting away from coal-fired power plants and their horrible emissions, and moving in a different direction of clean, sustainable energy. I talked about offshore wind, of what's happened in Europe, where the countries have underwritten those processes. Actually in China they started to do offshore wind. But yet in the United States there's not one offshore wind farm yet. Delaware has a deal in place and Massachusetts is moving. But Maryland should really be the tipping point. We're talking about a critical mass. And adding 500 megawatts is really what we need. Maryland can be in the forefront. But not only in the clean energy, but in creating new green jobs. Yes. The hard-working people with skills, making steel, making other parts that go in, taking it out to the ocean, laying cable. A lot of jobs are called for, and in a moment the next speaker is going to talk specifically about that. This is a win-win for the state and for the people. There's been some concern about what's it going to cost. Well, what's the cost going to be if we don't do anything? Because 5 years, 10 years, the cost of electricity will go up. At least we can stabilize it. There may be a small surcharge in the early years, but we think this is the long-term solution to having clean energy with a stable price. We think it makes sense. I'm proud to be here. And at the end of that speech in November, or whenever it was, here in Annapolis, someone said, "Are you going to introduce legislation?" And I said, I would, but I would defer if there was another sponsor. And Malcolm remembers, the director of the Maryland Energy Administration. I said, I don't care if it's Pinsky or Pinsky and O'Malley or O'Malley Pinsky. I'm more than happy. I would be excited if the governor of our great state wanted to step forward on this bill. And I knew there had been some discussion and they were working behind the scenes on policy. And I must tell you, not because I threw down the gauntlet, because it preceded my challenge, but clearly Governor Martin O'Malley had thought about this, has put his top policy people working on it, and has stepped forward. Not just one step, but many steps. He has embraced this, he's working hard on it, and he's going to help us see it over the finish line, and I'm excited to have, as the lead sponsor, the governor of the great state of Maryland, Martin O'Malley.
You guys excited? Yeah! Green coalition together, environmentalists and hardworking men and women of our building trades and our steel workers. It is great to see you all. Are you ready for green jobs now?
Yes!
Do you want clean energy now?
Yes!
Do you want America to become independent of foreign oil?
Yes!
Well, if that's the cleaner, greener, more prosperous future that we want for Maryland, then we've got to take the actions necessary to secure that future. And I want to thank Paul Pinsky. Senator Pinsky was out front on this. He saw what the future could be if we realize that it's not a gift, but it's an achievement. And he was willing to go out there early, and all of us have now come around in this coalition. And I thank you all so much for pushing for this bill. It is not only about helping on climate change. It is not only about a more independent energy future. It's about that most important thing that we need right now in America, and that is jobs. Jobs in Maryland, jobs in America, jobs in the world. joined by Jim Strong with our steel workers, United Steelworkers of Maryland, and Jason Roswald to stand with the sheet metal workers. And we also have Rod Easter here of the building trades. And it's great to see Mike Tidwell of the Chesapeake Climate Action Network and Brad Hidner of Environment Maryland. We're able to stand here both with the United Steelworkers and with our environmental community because we believe that offshore wind is a win-win for Maryland. It's a win for jobs, it's a win for the environment, it's a win for every consumer who wants to do their part to make sure that we combat climate change and are able to improve the health of our environment. Wind energy is safe, it's clean, it's reliable, it is affordable, and the turbines are typically 90% steel. Big cheer from the steel workers on that one. Which means more jobs for steel workers, and this is going to mean more jobs for sheet metal workers as well as jobs on the water, jobs on the land from the servicing and maintenance of offshore wind. It is our most abundant, available natural resource for energy that we have in Maryland as an Atlantic coast state. So we're here with three important words, and that is to ask that the legislature pass the bill. This is a pass the bill. Sing it with me, people. Pass the bill. Pass the Maryland Offshore Wind Energy Act for jobs. Pass it for greater opportunity. Pass it for ratepayers. Pass it for cleaner, greener energy. And make no mistake, this bill is the right choice for ratepayers. It stabilizes over a long-term period of time prices and decreases our reliance on either imported fuels or fuels that, frankly, under the current technology, contribute to the degradation of the ozone and add to the accelerated degradation coming in our atmosphere because of climate change, and also has with it those fossil fuels very volatile price points. That volatility comes from things like the events we see rolling across the Middle East, and it comes with the extraction of many of these fossil sources comes other long-term costs that you do not have with wind. Costs like the costs that are absorbed from the extraction that can cause long-term damage to the environment, while also not providing consumers with a dependable rate. Today we're proposing an amendment to further protect Maryland consumers because every legislator rightly asks, what does this mean around the kitchen table? What does this mean for moms and dads who are already struggling to pay their bills and move their family forward? So this ensures that no project is approved that would cost Maryland families more than $2 a month on their energy bills. And as Paul indicated, that initial charge actually is anticipated to go down over time as the price of the fossil fuels rises. So we believe that the impact will be much lower than that. In fact, the Public Service Commission says it could be as low as 92 cents. But the big picture here is this, that this bill is designed to save ratepayers money over the long term. The differential at the outset is greatly diminished and eliminated over the 20-year period of this power purchase agreement. And if we don't make this choice, then you can rest assured of two things: that the price of fossil fuels will continue to rise without any hedge against them, and you can be sure that 99% of the scientists around the world will be right, that the continued reliance exclusively on fossil fuels is going to contribute to climate change, to sea level rise, and all of the other sorts of displacement issues that go with that. If we don't make the right choices, other states will rise and will make those choices. And if the other states make the choices in advance of ours, those are the states where the jobs will go. Little Delaware, roughly what? 1/8 the size of Maryland, I think. That's one congressional district. Delaware has already done this for about 200 megawatts. We're talking about 500 for a state that's 5 times as large. Certainly, the legislature of Maryland, the people of Maryland, can demonstrate the resolve and have the faith in that better future that we can build and make for ourselves by making the responsible choice. And the benefits from that will be the creation of 2,000 construction and manufacturing jobs here in Maryland, or whether we wave goodbye and watch those jobs go to Virginia or go to Delaware instead. It'll be about whether we succeed in bringing more green businesses and green jobs to Maryland. That depends on whether we act now. Whether we pump $1.9 billion into Maryland's economy depends on whether we choose to act right now to harness this renewable energy supply which is right off of our coast. Whether federal wind dollars come to Maryland or float away to other states depends on the leadership and our ability to forge the precious consensus to make the right choices now. Whether we move forward toward energy independence for Maryland or whether we settle for importing more dirty, expensive energy sources depends on whether we choose to act now. So I firmly believe that the people of our state, whenever given a choice of moving forward or slipping back, always choose to move forward. These are reasonable amendments that put parameters so that every legislature can rest assured that the PSC, the Public Service Commission, will not enter into any long-term power purchase contract unless it is clearly going to be a benefit long-term to the ratepayers of Maryland. So this is a win-win. It's about moving forward and not slipping back, and that choice is ours. And it's my honor now to bring to the microphone Jim Strong, the leader of the United Steelworkers of Maryland. And Jim, I hope to be able to join you at Sparrows Point someday to be able to pass this bill when it's passed by the General Assembly. So let's welcome now Jim Strong.